We've spoken about the many professions of Star Wars and how necessary they all were to keeping the galaxy functioning. Most of these folks worked well beyond a 9-to-5 job, often in grueling conditions. Just like us, they too deserved time off and a holiday to rest and recharge, and luckily for them, the galaxy was huge, filled with places that were perfect for a holiday. In today's video, we'll talk about the most popular holiday destinations in the galaxy, whether you wanted to jet ski across a lake, luxuriate in a mud bath, or gamble your life savings away. To many, the best kind of holiday is the kind where you travel somewhere new and see or do new exciting things. This is a broad category, of course, and can include anything from nature retreats to extreme sports. As we're big fans ourselves of this holiday style, we've selected some of the best destinations in the galaxy to change scenery and have an adventure. For spectacular, extreme sports, no other world was better than Oko-E, a resort world in the Outer Rim territories. On Oko-E, galactic tourists could try out wild water rafting on the planet's molten sulfur rivers, which many thrill seekers loved. Alternatively, you could go hover skiing or ice boarding on Hoth or horizon skimming on Tolaran. All these were wintertime sports played in the snow. If you were looking for more relaxing water-related sports, Mario, a resort world in the corporate sector, might have been just your thing. This was another famous holiday destination for those with too much time and money. Its main attractions were the planet's bazaars, but for those who weren't into shopping, there were outdoor activities on offer. Visitors could go hunting for pekvas, a native deer-like creature, or go fishing in the planet's oceans for colossal fish. For those who loved exploring the outdoors, Alderaan was a surprisingly wonderful pick. Of course, Alderaan is best known for its affluent cities and being blown up by the Death Star, but before it was reduced to cosmic space dust, this planet in the core had some of the most beautiful natural scenery in the galaxy. Its rich landscape included verdant valleys and crystalline lakes nestled between snow-capped mountains. If you want to get a good idea of what Alderaan looked like in real life without the special effects, look up images of Banff National Park in Canada. It's astonishing how much it matches the vibe. With scenery like this, there were tons of options for outdoorsy people, including hiking, skiing, camping, canoeing, and fishing. And if that wasn't enough, Alderaan was home to the Thrunta species, a manta ray-like creature that had been domesticated by the locals. Thruntas could fly and were used as taxi services, so one could pay and then get to experience Alderaan's natural beauty from the air, the gentle wind on their face and the sun on their back as the Thrunta leisurely flew over the landscape. Without a doubt, Thrunta riding on Alderaan would be our personal pick for the ideal holiday. If you were looking for more celestial natural beauty, Nantamar and Vespara would be perfect destinations. Nantamar was a wealthy world in the Mid-Rim, renowned for its natural beauty. What drew visitors the most, however, were the exploding novas visible from the planet, known as the shooting stars of Nantamar. Tourists would travel to the world from all over the galaxy to witness the beautiful sight in Nantamar's night sky, so much so that it was a popular holographic simulation experience option known as a sim vacation for those who wanted to see the sights without actually traveling. Vespara, on the other hand, was out in the Outer Rim and was best known for hosting the Grand Arena, a Colosseum-style fighting arena where people competed in the Hunters of the Outer Rim tournament. This by itself made it a popular attraction for those who wanted to spectate the tournament, but what made it truly special was its sky. You see, the Grand Arena was located in the southern hemisphere, and the planet's tilt meant it was forever angled away from the sun, leaving it in perpetual twilight. This darkness allowed for several atmospheric effects to be visible year-round, including colourful hazes and auroras in shades of red and purple. Many travelers visited the planet to admire these phenomena, much like the people on Earth travel far north to see the northern lights. Finally, if you loved water but only wanted to look at it, Naboo and Champala were the places for you. Naboo is a world we'll talk about again, but for this type of holiday, what we're most interested in are its rivers and lakes. It was a planet with lots of natural beauty, and though many of its riverways were dangerous in the deep, the surface was serene. Visitors could take barges or boats across the river, with many places along the Solu River offering these services. From the waterway, passengers could gawk at the stunning natural landscape mixed with Naboo's beautiful architecture, such as the Verdugo Plunge, the planet's largest waterfall, and the Cliffs of Theed, the capital city, which had been built by the river. Champala, on the other hand, was an aquatic world in the Inner Rim famous for its tides. Its vast oceans held a few islands, and it was along their coasts that the locals had built their cities. Sea levels fluctuated wildly, however, and there were times when the cities were above water and times when they were submerged. These dramatic tides and beautiful coastlines attracted many tourists, and the planet's economy was soon tourism-based. But not everyone wanted to go on an adventure. Many beings simply wanted to go on holiday so they could put their feet up and luxuriate in comfort. These are the exact clients that the galaxy's many resort worlds had been established to meet, providing their guests with nothing but luxurious comfort and relaxation. Around 47 BBY, Daruma, a moon of Almas in the expansion region, quickly became the most popular resort world in the region. Daruma had once been an inner planet of the Kularan system, but when its orbit was closest to that of another planet, Oblis, and that planet was destroyed, the force of that explosion pushed Daruma farther out until it was caught in Almas's gravitational field and froze. In 47 BBY, the Daruma investment group terraformed the now moon to turn it into a luxury resort world. Its frozen seas melted, and with the melting ice, many trapped eggs spawned, filling the oceans with life. The Daruma resort was built shortly after, and guests flocked to the many family-oriented islands the resort offered. At all times, guests were waited on by extremely customer service-oriented staff whose only job was to make the customer happy. As a bonus, some of the fascinating sea life that had been reanimated must have been a great attraction too. There were even giant sea turtles that were very friendly and let people ride on them. Another popular resort world was Spira, located in the Spira system of the core worlds. This tropical planet was more tailored to the filthy rich holidayers of the galaxy, many of whom probably already lived in the core and appreciated not having to travel far. Spira was most famous for its golden beaches, and patrons either stayed at resorts or purchased mansions as holiday homes so they could lounge on the golden sands and sip tropical cocktails. Another attraction was Spira's biannual antiques collection, which usually featured many unique items that might interest eccentric collectors. Another resort tailored to the rich was Lanupa's Skull Ridge Mountain and Spa. Once the stronghold of a murderous pirate, the establishment had been converted into a luxury child-free spa, with spa packages, room service, mud baths fed by the planet's natural hot springs, buffets, and back to soaks. If you were a Hutt, however, you might prefer Lyra, an outer rim planet with mineral pools and mud flats on the border with Hutt space. By 2 ABY, it was a well-established resort world for the Hutts, with millions of humans serving their bulbous overlords. Also in the core region was Alassa Major, a major tourist destination for the wealthy core denizens. Discovered around 3000 BBY, the planet had been designed to serve as a resort world from the very beginning, with the core elite traveling there to get some well-deserved R&R. Alakatha, the primary moon of Kavath 5 in the Kavath system of the Mid-Rim, had a similar story. This popular resort world had a semi-tropical climate with a luxury resort built along the coast of its northern continent. We don't have many details about the facilities, but having longingly viewed many tropical resorts ourselves, we imagine activities included poolside lounging, a cocktail bar, hot tubs, and some jet skis. What we do know is that Alicatha was a favorite of the Coruscanti elite in particular, probably because it was so expensive. Vainai, meanwhile, was an ocean world along the Polemian in the Outer Rim, and it had developed into a resort world thanks to its natural deposits of slick. This was a medicinal substance made from native seaweed that could speed up healing, but also included a state of temporary euphoric delirium, which was greatly enjoyed by guests, as you can imagine. Of course, there are those among us who prefer their holidays to be a little more cultured. For those galactic denizens that wanted to admire culture, architecture, music, and other such things, many places across the galaxy had it all. As a disclaimer, although there are many worlds rich in history, like Voss, many weren't easily accessible to off-worlders or were considered unsafe. That's why we focused on worlds that were both rich in culture, safe, and easily accessible to tourists. Without a doubt, our absolute top pick for this category has to be Theed, the capital city of Naboo. Naboo was a rich mid-rim world with a strong economy and political influence. As a natural consequence, its capital city had evolved into a rich cultural hub of breathtaking architecture, museums, academies, and cuisine. The floating city stood by the great grass plains along the Soilu River. Visitors could admire the local architecture, such as the Elii Arcadium, a circular building with tan-colored walls and a turquoise dome, Guido's Tower, a tall, slim tower with a square plan 8 floors and a flat roof, the Bassa and Pergola bridges, and the Hall of Peritika. Of course, there was also the Theed Royal Palace with its courtyard and plaza. The city also hosted many museums, such as the Parnelli Museum of Art, and several academies, including the Theed Royal Academy and Theed University. Finally, for a bit of shopping and people watching, there was the Theed Market Square, where visitors could purchase local goods and delicacies, such as Nabooian blossom wine. Our next pick would have to be Aldera, the capital city of Alderaan. This picturesque city was built on an island inside a lake, which was nestled in between snow-capped mountains. The river Wutho ran along its outskirts, with other smaller villages further out, and even a forest. Immediately upon leaving the Aldera spaceport, visitors would be confronted with the city's beautiful architecture and cityscaping. The city's buildings gleamed white like the snow on the mountains surrounding it, either in the shape of low domes or tall, slender skyscrapers. As you can imagine, from such an affluent city, Aldera had it all, from markets and restaurants from all over to beautiful parks. Tourists could visit the Royal Museum of Aldera or the Aldera Museum of Modern Expression, or sightsee at the stunning Royal Palace of Alderaan or the University of Alderaan. Our third pick would have to be Corellia, a core world with history and power that rivaled Coruscant's. Across the planet, there were many popular cities worth traveling to, but we'll focus on two. The first is Corvella, a popular tourist destination on the Corvella Mesa. Despite having a thriving economy, the city had gone to painstaking lengths to maintain its rustic charm. Most of its original buildings still stood, and no skyscrapers had been erected, unlike in other Corellian cities. This made it a popular destination to enjoy some more traditional vibes, like going to a quaint village. The other city was, of course, Coronet, the capital. Although we're not personal fans of this city hell, with its winding roads and dead ends, the reality was that it had a lot to offer for tourists, at least as long as they stayed out of the more dangerous districts. Visitors could sightsee around the Coronet Capital Tower and tour businesses such as the Corellia Times, the mining spaceport, and the Coronet Arms Hotel. Our personal favorite destinations, however, were the Coronet City Zoological and Botanical Gardens, which featured flora and fauna from all across the galaxy, and the Museum of Fine Art. Finally, as loath as we are to admit it, Coruscant was a great option for cultural tourism. Located in the heart of the galaxy with probably the most direct connections to other planets, it was easy to get to and had something that everyone could afford. Depending on the size of your wallet, you could travel to the rich upper levels and tour places like the Senate Plaza, or go deeper for more affordable options. The Ecumenopolis had many landmarks and points of interest, so we'll just mention a few. There was Monument Plaza, a square that hosted 4 large illuminated statues centered around Umate, the planet's only uncovered mountain peak. The park was surrounded by various shops and restaurants, making it a perfect place for tourists. Republic Avenue was a wide street filled with shops and restaurants that often hosted celebrations like street festivals. Tourists could visit Senate Hill and the Senate Building, buy a ticket for the Republic Science and Technical Center, go to the Sky Dome Botanical Gardens, or have a kaffa at the Judicial Plaza. Other points of interest included the University of Coruscant and the Galactic Museum. Finally, tourists across the ages could also visit the Jedi Temple, whether that was seeing the grand structure in all its glory before the Great Galactic War, its ruins, or the restored temple during the Golden Age of the Republic. And for the last category on our list, we have those holiday spots that catered to party animals, gamblers, and generally anyone who wanted to experience vibrant nightlife, legal or not. With no hesitation, Zeltron is our top pick for this category. This opulent world was located in the Inner Rim and was home to the Zeltrons, a species of extremely hedonistic sentience that transformed their world into a party planet where revelry and pleasure never ended. Every inch of this world was devoted to pleasure, whether it was restaurants with gourmet imported food, spas, casinos, brothels, nightclubs, and anything else you can imagine. The city planet never slept, and its residents used their empathetic powers, pheromones, and mind-altering drugs to ensure their patrons weren't just satisfied, but experienced highs that meant they never wanted to leave. Perhaps unsurprisingly, Nar Shaddaa is a close second. This little rock was the largest moon of Nal Hutta and went by many names, including the Smuggler's Moon, Little Coruscant, and the Vertical City. Much like Coruscant, it was entirely covered by city. Most of it was riddled with crime, filth, heavily polluted, and quite dangerous for visitors and denizens alike. However, it was such an economic hub for hut space that people still flocked to it. Tourists who visited Nar Shaddaa for the nightlife often stayed in the safer areas, such as around the promenade, which catered to clientele from all over. The moon was infamous for its many bars, cantinas, and strip clubs, such as the Orange Lady, the Slag Pit, and the Burning Deck, where patrons could drink, acquire illicit substances, and interact with strippers. The moon's red light district was also infamous for its sex work, with many brothels and strip clubs active and happy to take your credit chips. And if that still wasn't enough, the moon was covered with vast casinos where you could play Sabacc or Pazal, hit the slots, and probably lose all your money. Star Cluster Casino and Club Vertica Casino were only 2 of note, with many more scattered throughout the moon's districts. Another great choice was Bespin, more specifically the gas giant's capital, the Floating Cloud City. Although the city's main purpose was to mine, process, and export Tibanna gas, it also contained a large, famous resort district featuring many different hotels and casinos. Then there was Canto Bight, a major city on the outer rim planet of Cantonica. This rich coastal city catered to wealthy tourists from all over, offering them a variety of casinos and racetracks for all their gambling needs. One such resort was the Canto Casino, a resort complex that featured the Crescent Royale Casino, other unnamed casinos, a racetrack, a luxury hotel, a mall, and 22 restaurants serving cuisine from all over. The city also featured many nightclubs, such as Club Tarsus, where patrons could let loose and enjoy the music and nightlife. Finally, there are a few worlds that would be nice to visit, depending on your taste. Galator 3 was another popular gambling destination. It offered many different casinos, but also casino cruises, a type of mobile casino that patrons could get on and off of while playing slots. One such cruiser was known as the Mornia. Shangri-La was known for its higher-end nightlife, such as jazz clubs, operas, and fancy sabacc parlors. And there you have it, the most popular holiday destinations in the galaxy. Of course, the average galactic citizen often didn't make enough money to be able to afford destination holidays, but for those that could, the galaxy had options no matter what you were looking for. We hope you enjoyed this foray into a lesser explored area of Star Wars. As always, we've enjoyed delving deeper into a bit of world building often overlooked, but this is just one facet of many. What obscure Star Wars question do you want answered next? Let us know in the comment section below, and as always guys, thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you in the next video.